Would you prefer to pay tickets like €5 for Harry Potter, some Hollywood film or some Irish film?
Hollywood.
Hollywood. Why? This is question. Why?
Because they're better. They're better because like there's more action and stuff in them.
They're real.
And because like it makes them look more real than Irish films because we don't have that much money because of the recession.
No offense to anyone.
For years we looked for government support on the basis that film was good for you culturally and that therefore the government should put money in. While I think the government recognises that, it wasn't until the government also recognised that film and the making of film was an important industrial process as well, so that when a film gets made, it creates economic activity in the country, it generates employment, and that's a much more saleable pitch to a government. If you can create jobs, if you can bring in foreign currency, have a multiplier effect in terms of the economic activity that you can generate. Where many bodies had significant reduction in funding last year, again because of the economic downturn, the reduction in funding for the Irish Film Board was relatively minor, which shows the support that's been given.
Of course I watch Irish films. I'm from Ireland myself, so I watch quite a few Irish films.
Well, I've seen some of the stuff with Colin Farrell in it and stuff that ends up in the blockbuster kind of place in the mainstream cinemas. Well, I'd watch them if I heard more about them. Quite often they're in cinemas like the one behind me, which isn't, unless you're into seeing what's on in here specifically, you don't hear about it that much. I feel anyway.
I've never seen an Irish film. No.
I think in any country you will probably find that in the top 10 films, 8 of them maybe, give or take, will be American. Films coming from America have considerably more resources available to them because they have a world market to play with. If one spent that amount of money on an Irish film, you'd have a major disaster because unless you're extremely lucky, you're not going to be able to sell it all around the world. The Americans have been doing it for many years, so therefore they're very good at developing their scripts in a way that encourages an audience. And we are improving that considerably, but we still need to be able to access the audience. And the marketing is crucial. They might spend millions on the film, but they also spend millions on the marketing. You can't afford to do that amount of marketing with a relatively low budget Irish film, so you have to rely primarily on the quality and hopefully that it can get by on word of mouth.
I think the writing is the first thing. If it's a good writer, usually maybe somebody from theatre like Rook Garage or a famous director, in the sense that they've got a good lot of body of work behind them,
It would be a mixture of reviews and like people who would have gone to see it and given me their what they thought about it, and if they gave me like a good review from a friend, say, I'd be willing to go see something based on that.
I think filmmakers, by their nature, should have aspirations to be artistic, to make high-quality films. But there's an old adage which says art isn't art until it's communicated. There's no point making artistic films if nobody sees them. And the only way I know of quantifying the number of people who actually see your film and how successful that art film is, as it were, is the box office. And I don't think films should be made purely to be commercial, but it should be made to the highest possible standard, retaining integrity, and with a desire and an attempt to make that film accessible to the audience.
I like sort of Irish films that are sort of a little bit more unique and not just sort of made for the American market or what sort of the American version of Ireland is. I'd like something that's has a little bit, it's unique and expresses the real Irishness rather than the sort of paddywhackery Irish.
And I think if you're talking about improving Irish films for an audience, I think what you really need to do is, if you have good creative ideas and you have a script, too often film gets made too early in that development process. I think it needs to be drafted and redrafted and redrafted and redrafted until such time as it works. And too often, that's what happens, let's say, in places like America. And I'm not talking about now being overly commercial or being Philistine, but just because you do your first draft doesn't mean to say it's going to be perfect. In fact, I'd be very surprised if anybody gets the right first time.
Irish movies are very good as well, but I think they need a little bit improve themselves. No? But I think they are on the way. No, they are on the way.
I think the day we say we have done enough, and the day we say that everything that can be done is being done, is the day we're in trouble. I don't think we ever can be complacent. We always have to find new ways to develop and encourage Irish filmmaking talent and provide opportunities for Irish filmmakers to make their films. And hopefully in time those filmmakers will get the opportunity not only to make their films and have their films seen in Ireland, but also have their films seen internationally.